Hello, my name is Jimmy and welcome to the 2024 Volvo XC40. This is the Recharge version and it's the twin Recharge version, which means we get dual motors and it's fully electric. Let me go over all the specs you need to know first. With this setup, we get 402 horsepower and 494 pound-feet of torque. This 75 kilowatt hour battery gets us 254 miles or 409 kilometers of range. There is a new single rear motor version that makes 248 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. That is powered with a 79 kilowatt hour battery, and it also has 200 kilowatt DC fast charging. With that, you get 293 miles or 472 kilometers. As spec here, it's a touch over 79,000 Canadian dollars, as this is the ultimate, so everything you can get plus the dual motor setup. You can get the ultimate, so like this trim with just the rear motor, which is probably a better choice in kind of this Vancouver weather, to be honest. Like, we get snow, but it's like once, twice a year. It's not that bad. So a set of good snow tires, you should be fine. Personally, the ultimate isn't the one I would pick though. I would pick the plus, which is the mid trim. It gives you like a lot of the good stuff that you want. 360 camera, panoramic sunroof, like things that you actually would care about. And the plus model also gives you, well, something that's very, very important in EVs if you live in a colder climate, which is of course that heat pump. You can get the base core model, and then if you add the cold weather package, I think it's called, you can get the heat pump with that, along with heated rear seats and heated washer nozzle and heated steering wheel, I think. There might be a few more things, but I'll list it up on the screen so you can see exactly what it comes with. But like, those are like the packages that kind of the more reasonable person would get. But let's be honest here, it's an $80,000 car. You're not gonna be reasonable, right? You're not gonna be like, I don't know if I can shell a, couple $100 for this option or that option. But you know what? The XC40 is still a really good car, and it's the more practical version of the two electric vehicles that they currently sell now. They will have the EX30 and the EX90 in the near future, and I'll definitely be testing those. But right now, if you walk into a Volvo dealership and you say, I want an electric Volvo, there's this, the XC40, as well as a C40, which I've also reviewed. I love the look of that C40. Don't get me wrong. The taillights, it's absolutely beautiful, but it does compromise that practicality a little bit. Having that sloped off rear end like a notchback or a hatchback or fastback would be. So this definitely more practical, and yes, you can throw boxes in the back and you can carry all of that stuff with little to no problems. But do you need that practicality, right? On the outside, let's be honest, not much has changed for the 2024 model year. I believe the wheels have changed and that's really it. It still looks exactly the same as basically when it first was introduced as a gas-only version. Looks very similar, other than like the front headlamps were changed to look like the C40s, as well as the grille is blanked off because it's an EV, and of course you get a front. Small little area, but more than enough for cables or little things that you may want to shove up there. To be honest, like a lot of cars living with the front, it's just not as convenient as the trunk or the back seat for me. Like if I have a backpack, I'm not putting that in the front. I'm putting that just right behind my seat, and it's just an easier place to be. I don't know, that's just me. Speaking of the back seats though, the back seats on the XC40, there's tremendous amount of room here. Headroom, legroom, not a problem for myself at 5'11". Plenty of space here. You got vents in the middle here. Those look absolutely great. And just below that, you do get your heated seat buttons. If you're thinking of carrying child seats in here, I am a child passenger safety technician here in Canada. And well, I put a few seats in just to show you exactly how they fit. On the driver's side, this is a Kleck Lane infant seat. As you can see, no problems getting the base or even the carrier in here. There's plenty of space. And even in front of the seat, myself at 5'11", I'm totally fine. Didn't have to push that seat forward or anything like that. As for the passenger side, this is a Klek 5th in rear facing. Once again, no real problems here. Myself, 5'11", sitting in front, no problems. I do fit comfortably in this vehicle, even with 2 car seats in the rear. No, you cannot fit 3. It's just not a wide enough vehicle for that. If you are thinking of putting a forward-facing seat, should be no problem as well. I have a Klek Uber in forward-facing. The one thing I would note is the rear headrest. For the base model, they are fixed, whereas this one, because it is the upper trim, they are electronically foldable. So there's a button within the infotainment I can press to fold those down. Some car seats may interfere with the headrest. So do double check the car seat that you have or the car seat you want to buy before you put them in. As it is a Volvo, safety is its like #1 concern, let's be honest. You have 2 lower anchors that are super easy to get access to, 3 upper anchors just behind the bench. Like, no problems getting access to any of the safety features within the vehicle here. As for the front seats, they are thinner than you imagine seats should be, but it's pretty comfortable. I do have a friend that has an XC40 for quite a while now, and I did ask her how she felt about these seats, because at one time I was afraid, like, thinner seats, maybe they're not as comfortable. But she told me she went on road trips with them and whatnot, and she absolutely loved the XC40 seat. So, you know what? Shouldn't be much of a concern. They are heated and not cooled. Unfortunately, you don't get that as an option. But plenty comfortable here, powered driver side and powered passenger side. And I got this extendable thigh cushion, which I do absolutely love. In front of me is your typical Volvo steering wheel. There's all the buttons that you normally would get. Unlike some other cars where it like says volume, this just has an up arrow and a down arrow. So you might not know exactly what they do, but because there's only a few functions that's available here, you should be absolutely fine. Behind that, the digital cluster works as it should. There's only like 3 different views to it, which makes it very, very simple. You got your regular view with a map view, or if you want to take a look at your trip, you got that. That's it. Nothing special about it, but it's clear, it's legible. No heads-up display, don't mind that too much. Infotainment is your typical Volvo vertical infotainment. You do get CarPlay and Android Auto, but you do have to plug it in through a USB port. It is Google built in, not Android, Google built in. So you have access to Google Assistant, the Play Store, so you can download apps. Like there's a YouTube app that's in here, and I was able to play some movies when the car's not in motion. So you got access to all that. And because it does have LTE built in, you get over-the-air updates. So, I mean, it's fine. It has all the things that you naturally would want. Some people may think that it's a little bit bland and boring because there's not as much that you can do to this as like the previous non-Google integration type models. But you know what? I think it's fine. It's a little bit slow here and there, but you know what? I got used to it, and so will you. In terms of like the overall interior, like the quality of the materials is good, and just the fit and finish is good as well. I like this topical map that they have right in front of the passenger. It's also here on the side. At night, it is illuminated. It does look quite cool. Sadly, the base model doesn't come with that. It's like an actual like graph or map that you see, not a graph, sorry. But this, kind of cool, kind of like it. And I mean, overall interior is kind of basic, but it makes sense. Like on the passenger side here, if I open up that glove box, there's a little hanger here. So groceries, purse, whatever. You can hang that there without it flying all over the place. In the center, well, there's a garbage can, which I actually have garbage in here. It's just really smart. And right here in the center, there's a little place for your phone. You got a Qi wireless charger. It's just clever. And I don't know, I just really like how smart the interior is, the use of space that it has. Like, it doesn't have the speakers in the doors. Because of that, you get really large door bins that you can basically put anything into. Large water bottles, whatever. Like, it can swallow everything up here. It's just a really smart interior, and I do appreciate it for that. In terms of how it drives, well, the dual motor is a lot faster than you might actually need. Let's be honest. Because for cruising around town like I'm doing right now, I'm using maybe like a quarter of the power. You don't necessarily need all that power, but it's definitely nice to have. Every now and then, if I really want to pass someone, I just step on that pedal and I'm basically gone. Sure, it's not as fast as like a Tesla Model Y performance, but it is just as quick as the Tesla Model Y dual motor. And that's not bad, right? And I mean, let's be honest, this is probably its closest competitor, but I gotta say, this rides better. The Model Y is a little bit jiggly. This, if it's just really rough and bad roads where it's kind of like corrugated, you just get this reverberation throughout the entire interior and the chassis. It just feels like the suspension is a little too stiff to kind of handle that. But I also understand why it's stiff, because you got all this battery here. It has to hold the weight. So compromises, right? But it's still better than a Model Y. I still believe it's better than a Model Y. In terms of like overall feel, there's nothing really to it, let's be honest. This steering, I really don't know what it's doing. I don't know what the wheels are doing. But you're driving a Volvo, you're probably not caring about that all too much. Because, I mean, there isn't even like a traction control off mode or anything like that. So even if you wanted to have fun when things get a little slippery, you really can't. There is an off-road mode, but the off-road mode, all it really does is, well, changes the algorithm of like the accelerator pedal, the brake pedal, as well as the downhill assist program that is built in, but that's really it. One thing I do want to note is the brake pedal. As a lot of electrical vehicles have, you have one pedal driving. I didn't notice this in other electric Volvos that I've driven in the past, but it could be me. But there is an auto feature now. So under settings, under driving, under dynamics, there is a one pedal drive auto mode. And I've been using that for the week rather than just on. When it's on, one pedal driving, it's one pedal driving, right? So you push the throttle at a certain percentage, you're kind of coasting a little bit more, you're accelerating, you back off and it decelerates and even brakes for you to a complete stop. What auto does is, it's very weird. So right now I'm on throttle. If I let go, it coasts. If I start pressing the brakes, it'll brake. But as I come to a full stop, I can lift off that brake pedal and it'll come to a complete stop. So I'm not on the brakes right now, but I'm stopped. It's kind of weird. You'll get used to it though. And what I like about auto is it's actually kind of smart. It uses like the adaptive cruise control radars and whatnot to know exactly where you're at and how far that vehicle is in front of you. I hate trying it, but like if there's a vehicle stopped in front of you, you can lift off that throttle and the vehicle will stop behind that stopped vehicle in front of you. It's just not in my head to not press the brakes, let's be honest. When there's a vehicle in front of you that stopped, you're going to press the brakes, right? Like that's just human nature. But this vehicle, it just kind of does that for you. It is weird. Not gonna lie, it is weird. But it actually works pretty well. And I think it works better than the Hyundai iPedal. First, the Hyundai iPedal, when you change gears from forward to back, it turns off. When you start the vehicle, it turns off. So you have to like remember every single time to engage it. And of course, the Mercedes kind of brake always moving technology of one pedal auto driving it's just odd because that brake pedal isn't kind of where it's supposed to be. And you forget. And then you're like, you can't feel that brake pedal for that first little bit and just get worried. The brake pedal stays still and the system still does what it needs to do. I mean, it's weird, but it's kind of good weird. Honestly, it's just one of those things that you gotta get used to. And once you purchase a vehicle, or if you're taking on a test drive, try it out. I think you'll get used to it over time and you'll actually appreciate it a little bit more. Because like when you're coasting, for example, like I am right now, I can lift my foot completely off the accelerator. I don't have to think, I don't have to do anything. There's a vehicle in front of me right now, and it's going to start applying brakes, or decel really, so that I don't hit the vehicle in front. Sure, I can turn on the adaptive cruise, but I don't have to in like this kind of situation. It's, like I said, just kind of cool. Overall, the XC40 is, well, it's a perfect anti-Tesla, right? If you're going to be buying an electric car and you want the best on paper, let's be honest, you're probably going to be picking a Model 3 or Model Y. Because on paper, they are like the king of sales anyways, let's be honest, because numbers don't lie. They sell a lot more of those than they do of these. However, you know, if you value, I don't know, fit and finish, if you value the quality of some of the materials, if you just don't really like the brand for whatever reason, this is a really good alternative. And every time I step into a Volvo, kind of wish I had one. They just make me feel a little bit more special. I like how their cars just feel. It's not because it's sporty. It's not because it's like truly special by any means, but it makes me feel special when I drive it. And that throttle pedal, well, if there's no cars in front of me and I press it, it makes me giggle. Well, that's really it for today. Thank you so much for joining me in this XC40. I hope you enjoyed my little review here. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comment section down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Take care.